Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Treasure Hunters and Coin Collectors. If you're passionate about the secrets that old coins hold, you're in for a real treat today. We're diving into a coin that might seem tiny and ordinary at first glance, but it carries over a century of history, and could potentially be worth an absolute fortune. So buckle up, because this is the story of the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, and by the end of this video, you'll see why collectors are going wild over it. Let's take a journey back to the year 1917. The United States was in the thick of World War I, Woodrow Wilson was president, and the world was changing faster than anyone could imagine. In the midst of all this turbulence, millions of pennies were being minted across the US, but not all of them were created equal. Some of those small, copper coins have become some of the most sought-after collectibles in American numismatic history. One of the most fascinating things about the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny is how much it reflects the era it came from. The design itself was revolutionary for its time. Before the Lincoln cent, American coins didn't feature real people, only symbolic figures like liberty. But in 1909, President Abraham Lincoln became the first real person to appear on a U.S. coin, in honor of his 100th birthday. By 1917, the design had already become iconic. On the front of the coin, or the obverse, is Lincoln's profile, facing right. You'll notice the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, the word "Liberty" on the left, and the date, 1917, on the right. But here's where things get exciting. Just below the date, you might see a small letter. It could be a D for the Denver Mint, or an S for the San Francisco Mint. These little letters are called mint marks, and they can make a world of difference in how much a coin is worth. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the classic wheat ears design that gives this coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. These two stylized stalks of wheat on either side are simple, but elegant, and they frame the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. At the top, you'll find the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This design remained in use until 1958, making the wheat penny a beloved and nostalgic piece of Americana, but not all 1917 wheat pennies are created equal. While millions were struck, only a fraction have survived in high-grade condition. And within that tiny fraction, an even smaller number bear unique qualities, like strong strikes, sharp details, and flawless preservation, that make collectors go absolutely crazy. Add a mint mark into the mix, and the rarity jumps up dramatically. So why are these mint-marked 1917 Lincoln pennies so valuable today? It comes down to a mix of history, scarcity, and demand. Coins from over 100 years ago that have been perfectly preserved are rare in themselves. But coins from 1917 with visible mint marks, no signs of wear, and full detail, those are almost impossible to find. Many of these coins were used heavily during the early 20th century. They passed through the hands of farmers, soldiers, and factory workers, worn down by decades of circulation. And here's something else to consider: errors. Some 1917 wheat pennies were struck with misalignments, double dies, or weak mint marks. These so-called error coins are incredibly rare and make headlines when they show up in auctions. Collectors love them because each error tells a unique story and makes the coin truly one of a kind. Over the years, the value of these coins has skyrocketed. A coin that was once worth just a single cent can now be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more depending on its condition, mint mark, and whether it has any unique features. Now, before we get to the big reveal, let's quickly talk about grading. Coin grading is a system that helps determine a coin's value based on its condition. A coin in good condition might show heavy wear, while one graded as mint state looks just like it did the day it left the mint. Collectors and dealers use this system to decide how much a coin is worth, and let me tell you, when it comes to the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, high-grade examples are like finding buried treasure. So here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. There is one known 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, in pristine uncirculated condition, that was once sold for an astounding $107,000, yes, you heard that right. One tiny penny. $107,000. If that doesn't make you want to go dig through your old coin collection, I don't know what will. So if you've got a jar of old pennies sitting somewhere, don't overlook them. That little copper coin from 1917 might just change your life. Today, we're about to take a closer look at a coin that many people might pass by without a second thought, a simple, copper-colored penny from the United States, dated 1957. But don't let its ordinary appearance fool you. Because some versions of this coin, especially those with the right mint mark and in the right condition, could be worth a small fortune. So, sit tight and pay close attention, because this isn't just any penny. This is the 1957 Lincoln Wheat cent, and it's more than just 1 cent, it's a piece of American history that could be hiding a massive secret in its fine details. Let's go back in time to 1957. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. The Cold War was heating up. Elvis Presley was dominating the airwaves. And all across America, people were jingling pennies in their pockets without ever realizing that some of those coins might one day become incredibly valuable. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has been around since 1909, and by 1957, it was already a well-known part of American coinage. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny was originally created to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it became an instant classic. On the front, or obverse, of the coin, we have Lincoln's familiar profile facing right. Just above his head is the phrase, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty." And to the right, the date, 1957. But look carefully just below that date, you might see a tiny letter. It could be AD, indicating it was minted in Denver. Or, in some rare cases, an S for San Francisco. These mint marks are more than just letters. They're clues that can dramatically influence a coin's rarity and its market value. Now flip the coin over, and you're greeted with the classic reverse design, the wheat ears. 2 stylized stalks curve along the left and right edges of the coin, surrounding the bold inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This wheat design remained in use until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making the 1957 issue one of the last of its kind. By 1957, over 1 billion wheat pennies were minted, making it one of the most widely produced coins of its type. But don't let that number fool you. Most of those coins were used in everyday commerce, handled thousands of times, and eventually lost their sharp details and original luster. The real value lies in the ones that somehow escaped circulation, coins that were never spent, never scratched, never tarnished. Coins that remained tucked away in rolls, collections, or forgotten drawers, preserved in nearly perfect condition for decades. So what makes some 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies special enough to be worth serious money? The answer comes down to a few important factors: condition, mint mark, and rarity. Collectors seek out coins in high grades, those that show no signs of wear and maintain a sharp, clear strike. These coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, and anything above 65 is considered mint state, or MS. A 1957 wheat penny in MS 67 or MS 68 condition is extremely rare and highly desirable, but there's another piece of the puzzle: error coins. Some 1957 pennies have been discovered with striking errors, such as double dies, repunched mint marks, or off-center impressions. These flaws, created accidentally during the minting process, make the coins stand out, and collectors love them. Error coins are like lightning in a bottle. They're unexpected, unintentional, and incredibly valuable when authenticated by a trusted grading service. So let's say you're lucky enough to find a 1957 wheat penny with a visible mint mark in flawless, uncirculated condition. Or even better, a coin with a rare die error and preserved mint shine. You might be holding something truly special. Imagine this: a coin that once bought a piece of candy or a few minutes on a payphone, now turning heads at major auctions. Collectors are willing to pay thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, for the right coin. And in rare cases, those tiny copper treasures bring in amounts that defy belief. And now, here comes the part you've all been waiting for. We've saved the best for last. There is a confirmed case of a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, in stunning mint state condition, that sold for an eye-opening $72,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. One penny. $72,000. So the next time you're looking through old change, don't just skip over those wheat pennies. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the condition. Because the next coin you find might not just be worth 1 cent, it could be worth more than most cars. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that's over 75 years old, deeply rooted in American history, and, believe it or not, could be worth a life-changing amount of money if you happen to find the right one. We're talking about the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. At first glance, it might look like just another copper coin, but hidden in its details could be a fortune waiting to be discovered. So grab a magnifying glass, pull out your coin jar, and get ready, because this is a coin you won't want to overlook. Let's start by rewinding the clock to 1944. The world was at war. World War II was raging, and the United States was playing a pivotal role in the Allied victory. Back at home, every American was contributing to the war effort. Resources were being rationed, factories had shifted to produce weapons and supplies, and even coins were being affected by the global conflict. In 1943, just 1 year earlier, the U.S. Mint had issued pennies made of steel coated with zinc instead of copper. Why? Because copper was a critical war material needed for ammunition. Those 1943 steel pennies became a wartime symbol, and a collector's item in their own right. But by 1944, the Mint made a major switch back to copper. And that brings us to the fascinating story of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1944 penny went back to its familiar copper composition, but this time, the Mint used recycled shell casings from military training grounds. These coins were literally made from the remnants of war. Think about that, a penny struck from metal that once held bullets. That alone makes the 1944 Wheat Penny a powerful piece of American history. Now let's take a closer look at the design. On the front, or obverse, of the coin is the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, looking confidently to the right. Surrounding him are the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the date, 1944, on the right. And just beneath the date, you might spot a tiny letter. That's the mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was made. A D indicates Denver, an S stands for San Francisco, and no letter at all means it was struck in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with the classic wheat design. Two elegant stalks of wheat curve upward on either side, enclosing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. Above it all is the motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's a simple design, but a powerful one, representing strength, unity, and American resilience. Now, you might be wondering, if there were over 1 billion of these coins made in 1944, how could one possibly be worth more than face value? That's where rarity, condition, and special features come into play. Most 1944 wheat pennies are only worth a few cents to a couple of dollars in circulated condition. But if you happen to find one in perfect, uncirculated shape, with no scratches, no blemishes, full original shine, and razor-sharp details, that coin can be extremely desirable to collectors. The grading scale used by collectors ranges from 1 to 70, and anything graded above 65 is considered top tier. Finding a 1944 penny with a mint mark in that kind of pristine condition is like striking gold, and then there's the possibility of mint errors. That's where things really get interesting. Some rare 1944 wheat pennies have been found struck on steel planchets left over from the previous year, instead of copper. Others have doubling in the text or date, off-center strikes, or other unique imperfections that occurred during the minting process. These error coins are considered rare anomalies, and collectors will pay serious money to own them. Even a small difference, like the positioning of a mint mark, or a microscopic flaw, can be the detail that turns an ordinary penny into a star attraction at an auction. It's the thrill of the unknown that keeps collectors searching through their change. And here's a tip: if you've got an old penny that looks different, or if it has a bold, shiny surface despite being decades old, don't ignore it. Get it evaluated. Professional coin grading services can help you determine exactly what you have, and what it might be worth. Now, after all that, it's time to reveal what a rare and flawless 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark can fetch in today's market. One such coin, preserved in exceptional mint state condition and carrying the right characteristics, has sold at auction for an astonishing $83,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. 1 penny. $83,000. So the next time you're sorting through old coins, don't just look for quarters or silver dimes. That humble wheat penny from 1944, sitting quietly in your drawer, might be worth more than your entire coin jar combined. Today, we're diving into a humble little piece of copper that might be hiding in your coin jar right now, a coin that many people overlook without realizing just how valuable it could be. We're talking about the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. Now, before you brush it off as just another old penny, hold on. Because by the end of this video, you'll learn why this unassuming coin has caught the attention of serious collectors, and how it could be worth more than some brand new cars on the market today. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1953. It was a time of change and progress in the United States. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become president. The Korean War was coming to an end. America was moving into a post-war boom, full of optimism, innovation, and prosperity. And while the country was focusing on rockets, radios, and rock and roll, the U.S. Mint was busy striking pennies, millions of them. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already become a staple in American pockets. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbol like Lady Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin instantly became iconic. The obverse side of the penny, or the front, features Lincoln's profile with the words, "In God We Trust," arching above his head. To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date, 1953. But if you look closely below the date, you might find something very important, a mint mark. That small letter could be D for Denver or S for San Francisco. And in some cases, the placement or style of that mint mark might make all the difference in the world when it comes to value. Now turn the coin over, and you'll see the beautiful simplicity of the wheat reverse. 2 wheat stalks curve in from each side, framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. At the top is the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. It's more than just a coin. It's a symbol of an era when values like unity, hard work, and hope defined the American spirit. The 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced in large numbers, with hundreds of millions minted between the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. That might make it sound common, and in most cases, it is. Most circulated versions of this penny are only worth a few cents to a few dollars today. But here's where it gets interesting. The real value lies in the few coins that were perfectly preserved. You see, not all pennies are created equal. While most were used to buy gum, pay for a bus ride, or get lost in couch cushions, a small number were carefully stored away, never circulated, never touched, and kept in flawless, original condition. These are what collectors call mint state coins. And for the 1953 wheat penny, mint state versions are very hard to come by, especially those with strong strikes, rich color, and full details. Now let's talk about the mint mark again, because this tiny detail has a big impact. The Denver and San Francisco mints used slightly different dies and placement techniques, which sometimes resulted in variations, things like repunched mint marks, where the letter was stamped twice, or odd spacing, which makes the coin unique. These little quirks are like fingerprints, rare and valuable. Then there are the true rarities, error coins. Some 1953 wheat pennies have been found with off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet issues where the metal blank itself was flawed. These mistakes, while unintentional, create one-of-a-kind coins that collectors dream about. If you're lucky enough to find one of these errors in mint condition, you could be looking at a seriously valuable piece of history. It's important to understand how coins are valued. Grading plays a huge role. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A 1953 penny graded as MS 65 or higher, especially with a visible mint mark and no signs of wear, can command high prices. Add in a rare error or unique variation, and suddenly, you're in a whole different category of value. Many people have found valuable wheat pennies in pocket change, old family collections, or even tucked away in old piggy banks. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The treasures aren't just in museums or vaults, they're out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. So now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for. You've stayed with us through the history, the details, and the rarity, and now it's time for the big reveal. There is a known 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, preserved in exceptional condition and featuring unique characteristics, that was sold for an astonishing $75,000. That's right. 1 cent, $75,000. It's stories like this that remind us why coin collecting is so fascinating. Something small, something overlooked, can turn out to be incredibly rare and valuable. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't toss it aside. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Look closely at the condition. Because that little coin might just be the one. Today, we're talking about a small coin with a big story, a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar, drawer, or maybe even hidden in an old family collection. It's the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. At first glance, it might look like just another old penny. But take a closer look, because there's a lot more to this little coin than meets the eye. Some of these coins, in the right condition and with the right features, have stunned collectors with their value. So make sure to watch until the end, because one of these pennies has been sold for a jaw-dropping amount of money, and we'll reveal that exact number shortly. Let's begin by stepping back in time to the year 1952. The United States was in a unique place, recovering from the challenges of World War II and stepping into a new era of American prosperity. Harry S. Truman was in the White House, televisions were becoming household items, and across the country, the U.S. Mint was striking millions of pennies that most Americans never gave a second thought. Among those coins was the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a copper cent with the face of Abraham Lincoln and a reverse design that had already become a classic. This was part of the long-running Wheat Penny series that had started back in 1909, honoring the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1952, the design was iconic. On the front, or obverse, of the coin is Lincoln's right-facing profile. Arched above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left, Liberty, and to the right, the year, 1952. Just below the date, depending on the coin, you might find a small but extremely important detail, a mint mark. This letter could be a D for the Denver Mint or an S for the San Francisco Mint. And believe it or not, that tiny letter can play a major role in determining a coin's rarity and value. Now turn the coin over, and you'll see the famous wheat reverse design. Two wheat stalks bend inward from both sides, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the motto, E pluribus unum, a reminder of unity in diversity. This design, simple and elegant, was in its final years by the time this coin was minted. It would only be used until 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. But why should you care about a coin that's over 70 years old and was produced in large numbers? Here's where things get exciting. While millions of 1952 wheat pennies were made, most of them were used in everyday life, spent at grocery stores, dropped in vending machines, or saved in piggy banks. Over time, these coins became worn, scratched, and tarnished. But a select few, very few, were preserved in exceptional condition. These are known as mint state coins, and they're the ones collectors are constantly chasing. When we talk about coin condition, we're referring to the grading scale that ranges from 1 to 70. A grade of 1 means the coin is barely recognizable, while a 70 is considered flawless, as if it just came off the press. The higher the grade, the more desirable and valuable the coin becomes. A 1952 penny with a mint mark that's graded MS 66 or MS 67. That's the kind of coin that can command serious attention in the collector's market, but there's more. Some of these coins have rare features that make them even more sought after. These include mint errors, things like double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These errors happened during the minting process and went unnoticed at the time. Today, collectors love them because they're rare and unique. No two error coins are exactly alike, which means each one tells a one-of-a-kind story. Even tiny details can make a big difference. The placement and shape of the mint mark, the brightness of the original luster, or even the thickness of the lettering can all be factors in determining how much a particular 1952 penny is worth. That's why examining your old coins carefully is so important. You never know when you might be holding something truly special, and here's a tip that collectors use: always check your coins under bright light or with a magnifying glass. That's how many rare varieties and errors are discovered. What looks like a regular penny at first glance might reveal something incredible when inspected closely. Now let's say you're lucky. You find a 1952 wheat penny with a mint mark, in near-perfect condition, no scratches, no discoloration, just a bold, crisp image and strong strike. You send it in to a professional grading service, and it comes back with a high grade. Maybe it even has a rare error. What could it be worth? Well, that's what makes this coin so exciting, because one such example, just one 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with a mint mark, in extraordinary condition and with all the right characteristics, was sold at auction for a staggering $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. One copper penny. $81,000. This is the kind of discovery that reminds us why coin collecting is so thrilling. It's not just about money, it's about history, mystery, and the possibility that something forgotten or overlooked could turn out to be incredibly rare. So if you have a jar of old pennies, or maybe an inherited coin collection tucked away in the attic, don't ignore it. Grab a magnifying glass, look for the 1952 date, check for a mint mark, and inspect the condition. You just might stumble upon a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more stories about rare coins and the incredible values they can hold, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. We've got more coin secrets, value reveals, and collectible finds coming your way. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes, the smallest coin can lead to the biggest surprise. Happy collecting!